Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. This is Amna Hussain back with another live streaming in front of you. I hope you guys are doing amazing with your loved ones and family out there. So today I have with me one of a very great professional with me, joining me from Pakistan, based down in Karachi. He is Adnan Ali, and he is a leader and a CEO of the company he's leading, which is MEI Academy Pakistan, and the leading firm, which is all about immigration and student visa facilities and procedures. They are just providing services and consultancy. And more further details we would be discussing with him. And as a whole, today's topic is all about study and live abroad. What are the do's and the don'ts a graduate needs to know before planning a trip to abroad, any other country for his education? What are the tips and techniques? What are the processes, basically, which is so important to know, I believe. And Adnan is the right person. You have to connect with him. I have linked down his LinkedIn profile in this screening. You are more than welcome to reach him, connect to him, ask him any questions. And in this streaming today, you are more than welcome to tell me from where are you joining in and how are you doing, basically. So before further ado, I would take Adnan on the screen with me, and we shall begin with our discussion. Hi,
Assalamu alaikum.
Aslam.
Hello. How are you, Amna?
I'm good. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
Thank.
It's been a
I'm
while.
doing pretty well, and I hope my voice and my visuals are clear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great, great, great. A big a big thank you to you for introducing me such in such a a precise and such a nice manner. I really am humbled that you have invited me to your YouTube live show, which is becoming quite the buzz of the town nowadays. And I've been hearing a lot of good news that you have done a series of very good shows on topics which are much needed to be discussed, especially for professionals and for people who are aspiring to grow their careers. So I think you are doing a great job. You're doing a service to a
Thank
lot
you.
of the masses,
Thank
and
you
I
so
I
much.
I, I I wish that your show reaches newer heights in the coming years.
Absolutely.
I would like to introduce myself to your audience. Basically, I have been an educationist since the last 10 years, and my own background starts my journey when I was myself an international student at Leeds Business School in 2008. I was doing my master's in total quality management, and during those days, which I really miss those days now, because life teaches you many things over the course of time. But the lessons you learn during your education days are the ones you cherish for the next 40 or 50 years of your life. So I, being an educationist and being an international student in my early days, I have experienced to travel across 4 continents. I have worked for major companies, which some of which are Fortune 500 companies, and some of which have been the likes of British Council itself in Pakistan, which opened my doorway to the education abroad industry.
Right.
So to brief it out, I am currently working as a CEO. I'm the founder of McGovern Education Immigration Pakistan, which is MEI. Because of the longer name, we had to abbreviate it. So it's MEI Pakistan, which is more easier. So I've been working in this capacity since the last 4 years. We are basically a partner with more than 500 universities across the world directly and through our channel partners. And as of recent, we have been working collaboratively with some Australian and Canadian education portals, which are doing a magnificent job of making the international students' journey of applying for a university till the time they apply for their visas and they reach the campuses and start studying at their respective universities. So I have a lot of extensive experience in that. Me and my team, We have our office based in Karachi. We had an office in Lahore, but we have a team member remotely working in Lahore at the moment because of the pandemic, unfortunately. And our immigration expert is based in Canada, and we are doing a lot of splendid work since the last 4 years in the immigration scenario of Canada. So this is something that I would say that falls under my expertise and what I'm really capable of helping out people in.
Absolutely, great to know from you, Adnan. Okay, so just quickly have a look from our audience who is joining us, and then we'll start our discussion and the questions I have for you, and definitely it can help our audience and especially the people who are looking to live, study, and work abroad, right? So
Sure thing.
we have Samir. He's saying salam. Walaikum assalam.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you for joining in, and we have Sohail. He is saying hello to us. Nicodemus is there, and Samir is saying, "Mashallah for you," and absolute a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. All right, so let's begin with the first question, which is again a very important, or I think that when we think about study abroad or going to abroad or different countries, the first thing comes in my mind, or like in everybody's mind, like what will be the benefit if we go there to the other country, as compared to our home country. So, what would you like to, tell our audience and our students who want to work, want to live and study there, and just to start their initial stage and phase of their education life? So, what will be the benefit if they move out? And I want you to also tell that what type of which countries you're working in for. Your students can go where.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So starting with why one should go for a study abroad
Mhm.
program, whether it's a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a PhD or postdoctorate whatsoever.
Right.
My question, which I usually ask my students, is that you should have a good reason to go abroad. First of
Hmm.
all, like you need to ask yourself, like whether you are going to find those opportunities locally or you are going to find those opportunities internationally. That is the
Mhm.
main question that you need to ask yourself.
Okay.
In Pakistan, there are a lot of good universities, there are a lot of employers, but unfortunately, we have a very limited amount of those
Mhm.
universities and employers. And our population and the population of students coming in every year is
Mhm.
growing at a very exponential rate,
Mhm.
and the lack of infrastructure in Pakistan has caused a surge of students going for international education over the past decade.
Mhm.
So eventually, somehow, it has become, you might say it's unfortunate or fortunate for some. That is another debate. But I would say that having an international education is an opportunity that not only improves you academically, but it improves you in terms of getting to know a new culture,
Mhm.
about getting to know yourself, about knowing that what sort of abilities you have to
Exactly.
become more open to challenges. And once you start living that independence, you
Mhm.
start feeling more mature. So as an international student, you are learning in an academic environment, and also you're learning the realities of life. You are basically becoming more powerful, and you're becoming more prone to challenges that you will face in the coming years. If you compare a local student with an international student, of course, a local student in their own respective country, whether it's Pakistan, India, or any South Asian country or any from the world, they are basically catered to. But if you are an international
Mhm.
student, you're self catering yourself. You're working part time jobs. You're studying yourself. You're doing the household chores yourself, which is something which I think that many students would learn the
Exactly.
either
Managing
learn the
everything.
hard way. Yes, that teaches you some, that those are life lessons actually. A
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of a lot of people don't realize it until and unless they are put in that sort of setup. Like I learned that the hard way. I was a person who had never even picked up a glass at home, but when
Get
once I
a
went
yeah.
abroad
Get
and
a glass
I
of
got to
water.
I yes, I used to ask my mother or my sister, get me a glass of water. That's how privileged we have been, and this is the culture we are brought into. But once we move abroad, definitely we need to do all the household chores. We need to work. We need to feed ourselves. We need to cook for ourselves, and we have to study. And that 24-hour day, seemingly, which was a very long day in Pakistan, becomes very short once you're abroad. And that's how
Exactly.
you learn effective time management. That's how you learn to become more responsible. So I think
Absolutely.
international education is both academically and socially,
Mm.
a good education for you.
Right.
Now, coming to which countries that we are basically sending most of the students,
Exactly.
10, 12, 15 years ago, there was only two, three destinations that used to be very popular. Our elders used to go there, and a lot of our family members, which was the United States, the United Kingdom, or Canada. But since the last decade, there's been like a very big mushroom growth in different destinations. Now
Exactly.
people are going to Australia in big numbers. Now people are going to New Zealand. People
Hmm.
used to think Turkey and Malaysia as, tourism destinations.
Exactly.
If
And
you
I've
talk
seen
about,
a
yes.
lot of, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And nowadays, there's a very big chunk of our society that is moving towards Malaysia and Turkey because the education is very affordable. The environment is very, very good, and they have a lot of potential opportunities to grow into different careers globally because these
Right.
are growing economies. They have
Absolutely.
they have very good infrastructure. So nowadays students have a choice of at least 10 to 15 destinations to go for their education. It doesn't matter if you now 15 years ago, if you had a big budget, you would be able to afford an education internationally. Now
Right.
you don't need a lot of hefty budgets. You have so many choices according to your budget, your plans, your goals, and there's a lot of scholarships. And especially because
Exactly.
of the pandemic,
Right.
there has been a lot of self-check to the universities, which were charging a lot of hefty tuitions, have decreased and deflated the tuitions up to 50%, in some cases 70%. So actually, people who are going right now are taking that advantage of going to a very good education at a
Mm-hmm.
very small tuition, for a very
Right.
small tuition. Yeah.
Right, right, absolutely. Thank you very much for answering this, question. Okay, so Mohammed Umer is with us, and he is asking, is it a question answer session today? So yes, for sure. You're more than welcome
Yeah,
to
yeah,
ask
why
any
not?
question. Yeah, you're more than welcome to ask any question related to study and live abroad, and any type of question related to immigration. Also, we would be doing another live session so that you can
Yes, yes.
answer all the queries related to immigration. Today, we will focus on study and work abroad.
Study
So
abroad,
yeah.
yes.
Thank you guys for
Exactly.
joining in. All right, so we shall take one comment. Okay, Muhammad is saying salam. Thank you very much. Walaikum assalam.
Walaikum assalam.
And then Samir Lodi is asking, what is the ideal age or education background to travel abroad for studies in countries like USA? Let's say. So if you wanna just tell about
Right.
USA or Canada or as a whole. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Samir has raised a nice question. Actually, a lot of people, think that there is a certain age of an international student.
Yeah.
To some extent, yes. Of
Mhm.
course, we are work because we are brought up in that cycle that we have to do our bachelor's by the age of 22, our master's by the age of 24 or 25,
Right.
and then so on and so forth. But if you look, like I'll share with an experience. I was traveling from all the way from Michigan to New Jersey, and on
Okay.
that flight, I had a pleasant you know pleasant co-passenger of mine, and
Okay.
her name was Helen, and she was around a 45-year-old lady, and we had a little discussion about what we do respectively, and I was amazed to find out that she was doing her bachelor's of law at the age of 45. So I asked her, what brought you to do a bachelor at this point of time? Like, a lot of people are having, they've reached the precipice of their mid-level career at that time. So why would you want to go for an education at this time? She said, like, I was a single mother, and I had to fall out of high school. And then I had to start working, and I had to raise my children, and I didn't find the time. So now that I am, I'm financially able, and I'm pretty much stable now. So I went back and started my education, and because I wanted to become a lawyer always.
Okay.
So by the age of 47, she said she would be a lawyer, and that amazed me. I said, like, wow, this is something like, if you were doing in Pakistan or any other South Asian country, that would be something like people would say, why are you doing that? Although I
Yeah,
have examples in Pakistan, people at the age of 60 going to NED University to do industrial engineering. I have
exactly.
those examples, but very few. But in the US, the age is just a number. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter that what age you decided to go for that international education in the US. What matters is why you want to take that education and what benefit that would bring to your life and career.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a student, and I'm quoting these by examples because real
Absolutely.
life examples are things that make people understand easily that
Exactly.
it is 100% possible. I had a guy, he was 37 years old. He came to me. Some of my peers told me that no, he's a lost cause. You shouldn't be, taking this case. I said no, this is something that he wants to do, and if he
Right.
has a good reason, the visa officer, the university, A, they would understand it. B, the visa officer, if he puts up the right reason, they would understand it too. And that happened. That student not only got an admission and his visa, he is right now working in Philadelphia,
Uh-huh.
and he got a very good scholarship from that program, and from that program he got his placement. So this is
Right.
some, because he was a healthcare professional and he went for masters in public health. So right now he's working for the Philadelphia council, for the health
Right.
council over there in Philadelphia. So this is something which is completely possible. So I think Samir
Yes.
should also take note of this and should plan if he is wishing to do that.
Absolutely. Exactly. So yeah, moving on to the next question. How about applying early as possible, or what are the correct dates or the season? Be a early bird. So what would you like to describe over here or advise over here?
Well, well, as much as I want to add on that, be an early bird and apply as soon as possible,
Yeah.
there are people who definitely do that, and they definitely reap the fruit of that. Because if you are applying ahead of the game, like you're not the only. When you talk about internet, when you plan for international education, talk about international education. You are
Right.
competing with the world, especially
Yeah.
for scholarships. That's why I always urge the students, you need to have your documents compiled before you start applying, and you should know that you should have been decided that which universities you want to apply to, because you're not just going to apply to one or two. You should apply to at least four or five different universities in different countries, not just in one.
Uh-huh.
Same goes for scholarships. Scholarship early bird, of course, every university has a grant every year. And for
Absolutely.
international students, they release those grants according to that student's merit. Sometimes, they even release those grants to students who had, less merit than somebody who had a greater merit,
Uh-huh.
at the very later stage. So students who apply early always reap the benefits, and it is also good for them to make their chances higher for the visa,
Mm-hmm.
because the visa officer, when they see a student starting their degree program, let's suppose in August, and if they are appearing for their visa interview in June, that means that is a well prepared student who had sorted out his admission ahead of the time, and they came in for the visa applications. That means they know that what they are doing. So
Mm-hmm.
this not only just helps you in securing your scholarships and admissions at an early stage, but also helps you in securing your visa easily, instead of going at the very last minute when the visa
Exactly.
officers are overburdened with interviews and visa applications, and they become so irritated and they say, like, you're coming at the last moment. Why?
Mm. Right, right. Absolutely. Again, it's a process. So step by
Yes.
step to take care of each phase of this whole process. Okay, thank you very much for this, answering this question also, and I'm sure it will help our students and audience. So, okay, now this is something really important question itself about the STEM degrees. Like, what is the importance of in today's world, or how a person can understand as a layman, or a fresh grad, that what are STEM degrees? Okay, so if you want to, describe a little bit
Right.
first, and then the importance to understand.
Right. Well, if we talk about STEM degrees, STEM is basically the abbreviation, which is
Mm-hmm.
science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Okay.
So this concept was basically, this was derived because every country in the world requires graduates to have these sort of skill sets, which come
Hmm.
from the STEM degrees.
Right.
So
Right.
because the world is moving towards automation, everything is becoming so automated that whether you're from any field, any profession, you you are going to eventually have the computer or the software or social media or whatsoever, anything that
Mhm.
makes our jobs easier and other people's access easier. So who can do that? Only STEM degree holders can do that. Let's suppose somebody wants to do their degree in artificial intelligence, which is
Yeah.
something very much needed these days. That falls
Exactly.
in the technology. Let's suppose that somebody wants to do their degree in actuarial science. That falls in the mathematics. So the demand from the employers
Hmm.
has risen at a very rapid rate for STEM degree holders. So
Right.
that's why governments around the world, especially I'll just give one or two examples. The
Yeah.
UK, USA have created a special, need for these skill sets for the people who hold these skill sets,
Right.
that they would provide them a 3 year or a 5 year visa, employment visa, for them to find work during that time, start working in that capacity, and
Hmm.
start benefiting their industry and their economy. So this is a race which began a decade ago. Now we are seeing we are halfway through the race, and in the next 10 or 15 years, I think it will reach its precipice maybe.
Okay. Okay. That's great. Okay. One thing more important over here, guys, that Adnan is also, having this one-on-one coaching or consultation, session basically with each and every individual out there. I personally can witness and recommend highly, because the way basically you are explaining is something really important to understand. Basically, like the mindset. It's not about that I want this degree and you will just say that okay, Amna, it's a very good degree. This is the process, and da da da, and then everything is done. You will guide basically that what is good for me. You will ask me different questions, right? So this is how is the process. So I just want to acknowledge over here, um, in our discussion. Okay. All right. So let's check some question or feedback we have, and then we can move on to our questions. Okay. So Sheikh Hassan is there. He's asking which is the best year to study abroad as an undergraduate student. Best year. I mean, like maybe he's asking the age group, if you can tell,
Well,
or
I'll holistically answer that. Basically, the best year to go for an undergrad study is immediately after completion of your high school, whether you're from an A levels, OA levels background, whether you're an international baccalaureate, whether you are from the local system, which is
right.
just immediately after grade 12, you need
Okay.
to 12 years of education, you need to go for your undergrad study. If you take a gap year, then that should basically what his question I think is, because a lot of students of his age are basically are taking gap years just to
Yeah.
explore themselves. It is a good thing, it's not a bad thing, but that gap year sometimes becomes a curse when you go for your visa application, because when the visa officer sees there is a gap in education, they
Hmm.
start having these thoughts that why did that student have a gap.
Right,
Then
right.
if they have a good they have done an internship, or they have worked on a project which was given to them by their by some organization or an academic institution, that is something fine. But if you were just sitting idle working as a freelancer or something like that, that won't hold up that much, even to a university where you're going for admission and so on and so forth. So I think the best time is immediately after you complete your high school.
Okay, like that. Okay, I hope it helps. This answer works. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. It's all about the pandemic, the impact of basically COVID-19,
Unfortunately,
which is again
yes.
a huge hit. So, what is it? How it's taking on further? How you guys are working and supporting the students? So, yeah, feel free to share the insights on it.
Yeah, well, I would say that the Chinese, because whenever we hear about COVID-19, definitely it started from Wuhan, China. So uh, that's why I would like to say that the Chinese say that every pandemic or something which is at a large scale, a destruction, there is always an opportunity with it as well. So if you look at if we look at the scenario of the global education industry, yes, it took a very hard blow and it shook the very core of our industry, and we realized that there was a lot of things that we were unaware, or maybe were aware but not taking it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the education institutions became more open.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, the admission processes, which were difficult, started becoming more flexible. Like universities used to accept like English proficiency.
Okay.
People only knew IELTS, people only knew
Right.
TOEFL, people knew
Right.
Pearson, but nobody had heard of Duolingo. But during this pandemic situation, the online test, English proficiency test, Duolingo became such a success, overnight, that
Wow.
every institution in the world was accepting Duolingo as an English proficiency test. So
Okay.
there was something which students used to find it difficult to do the IELTS because it was a 3.5 hour exam. Now they
Yeah.
had a 90-minute online at the comfort of their home, or an exam which they could do easily, so that
Mhm.
decreased that exam pressure. So that's something, a blessing that came in. Another
Yeah.
blessing, the tuitions were decreased to 50%. Up to 50% tuitions were decreased. Universities were offering online education for the very first time. The online education, which was something considered as a sideline sort of education, you know, which was aspiring to grow. Eventually, it became the mainframe medium. A lot of my students who are abroad right now, they did their first semester in Pakistan online. They were
Oh
studying
wow.
at their respective universities while sitting at the comfort of their home, and that brought another blessing
Right.
because they were already enrolled online and had completed a semester within their respective country. So the visa chances became very very high.
Mm.
90% of the time the student got their visas easily because the visa officer had no reason to question their credibility because they were already enrolled in that
Uh-huh.
course. They were paid
Right.
students. So this is something that I think that if we see the pandemic, of course it
Mhm.
has caused a lot of havoc, it has caused a lot of distress to the
Mhm.
industry, to the world, but being a positive, we should always look at the positive end of everything. We should always look at the light at the end of the tunnel, and that light has created an opportunity for many which was not possible before.
Yeah. True. True. Absolutely. Again, linking down this question with again online education or remote learning, how important it is now, or again, like if we see in our profession also, people are working remotely, people are working at home. They have set up their offices really at home.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how about the
exactly.
education system now, the new
Well,
age of remote learning?
yeah, from my viewpoint, I would say that you can never say that one approach works. It should be a blended program. Like
Uh-huh.
I would not be an advocate to say that you should only go for remote learning. Of course,
Mhm.
remote learning has its own benefits, and on campus or in-person learning has its own can. We are humans. We are not machines. So definitely at one stage, one point of time, we need someone to be physically in front of us
To
and speaking
interact.
us human to human.
Right,
So we
absolutely.
don't we because the remote learning, of course, it can create ease for us. Like if I would use a very small example, that if you drive a car, right? So you it doesn't mean that you would drive your car to every place. Sometimes you would use an Uber as well, right?
Yeah.
So it should be blended. You should not just say that one approach works. We are living in times which have made our lives, our work easier. Education should be made easier as well, and this has made it easier. Remote learning actually has made it easier. So
Mhm.
the hectic schedules can be worked out, but it should be blended once again. That if the student wishes to do it remotely online from the comfort of their home or their home country, they can do it. And on a later stage, when they realize, yeah, now it's the time that I should move towards my institution physically, they can do that.
Right.
And this is something which is very much workable.
Which is like workable, exactly. That's what I was
Yes.
about to say. Okay, so let's check a question or feedback we have from our audience, and then we'll quickly go through it. Okay, so we have a question from Sheikh Hassan. He's asking, local government provide any facilities like medical and scholarship during study and abroad? Medical facilities, if you want to highlight
Yes.
about it.
Of
And
course.
then scholarship, we have the other question here already.
Right.
Mhm.
Every international student, before they depart from their respective home country, are they have to buy medical insurance.
Okay.
And international students are very lucky to get those medical insurance at a very subsidized rate. If we
Mhm.
consider as an example the US, the highest cost of medical expenses is in the US. So
Yeah.
they say that if you don't have medical insurance in the US, you should consider yourself dead. So medical insurance is that important. And
Mhm.
international student can get their medical insurance in the US as low as $1,000 a year, whereas a local resident pays $4,000 to $5,000 per year for the same medical insurance. So
Wow.
it's already very subsidized for the international students. And yes, if you talk about scholarships, I have many students who have made exceptional careers and exceptional and have got exceptional scholarships um, when they were studying. So you can get a scholarship of up to 50% from your home respective country. Then you go
Okay.
there if you have a good academic record for consecutive 2 semesters. Like if you score a 3+ GPA, definitely the university have more bursaries for exceptional talent. So they
Mhm.
definitely provide further scholarships to those students. And not only that, there's a term which is called the graduate assistantship
Okay.
or the teacher's assistant in some places. So if
Uh-huh.
you also get an opportunity to do that, that would create not only an employment, but also give the opportunity for a full tuition waiver for that respective student. So I
Right.
have students who have done that. In Australia, they have done it. In the US, they have done it. In UK, they have done it. So
Right.
it's completely possible. Sky is the limit, I would say.
Sky.
If you want to reach your goals, sky is the limit.
Absolutely. Okay. One again important question related to scholarship. How about these times? In this pandemic situation. So are scholarships available right now, or again there's a eligibility criteria, or any criteria has changed
Right.
nowadays?
Um, if we talk about the private universities, of course, there's been a crunch. But if you talk about the public and state-funded universities,
Hmm.
there has not been that much of a change to their financial infrastructure. I would say they do have the scholarships available because they want to attract the students. They don't want to lose the students. So the students who are applying. But the thing is that the competition has increased. Like if there were 100 people applying for that scholarship, let's say for example, now there are 1,000 applying for that.
Okay.
So the scholarships are available. The universities are becoming more generous. because they understand that a lot of students do not wish to travel. So
Mhm.
they are encouraging those students to come over, get a scholarship, come over,
Right.
and start their education, because without students, universities would not exist in the future. So
Absolutely.
this is something that is needed at both ends. So it's a push and pull approach at the moment.
Okay. Right like that. Okay. And again, we would like to, wind up our session, which is again, I believe it was great one to understand from you the processes, the do's and the don'ts, and what is the current situation going on. So one last question, and then you can
Mhm.
summarize it. Again, that if a graduate is coming to you at this stage of their education and he wants to apply, and in this post-pandemic situation, so how you would, cater that process, or what is the first step you want him to do and then come to you, like that. So if you want
Right.
to summarize, yeah.
Right. Just to summarize, MEI Pakistan is definitely your one-stop solution provider in terms of your planning for study abroad, whether it's any popular destination. We do have a magnificent portal, which is studygroup.pk, which is a free-to-use tool to see the information, first-hand information about the universities, about their programs, about their tuition structure, and so on and so forth. So the first
Right.
thing that I would ask a student is to compile all their education documents, their work experiences, and above all, they should have taken an English proficiency test. Now, there's a lot of common ones available apart from the conventional ones, so they can ask us, and we can definitely guide them about it.
Okay.
And the most important thing is that students should know that what sort of financial documents that they would require, because that is something that is needed to be prepared at an early stage.
Right.
So it takes around up to 6 months to gather the financial documents to be appropriate enough to be used to be used during the visa application. So
Right.
if they want to apply for their international education, they should start at least 6 months prior, and they can come to us, and from scratch till this, from applying for their admissions till the time we are setting them for their accommodation abroad, we will be there. And even after that, I get my students,
Exactly.
they although sometimes it's a little irritating that you get a call 3 a.m. in the morning in Pakistan, and they say,
Oh
my
my.
accommodation is I don't want to share it. I didn't realize my accommodation with somebody else would be so much of a hassle. Now I want to have a single accommodation.
Huh, huh.
So it's
So these
always
type of
best to.
things, these type of questions also you are getting from your clients and the students there and abroad.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Absolutely,
So anybody
absolutely.
needs us, we are available 24/7. They can contact us, and me and my team are always there to answer anyone's questions in regards to study
Absolutely.
abroad.
Absolutely. Okay, so Sheikh Hassan is saying, thank you so much for the brief explanation you have given to us and everyone. Okay, and I shall see a comment or a feedback we got, and then we can go to go. Okay, and Sheikh Hassan is also agreeing with you, Adnan, the feedback about my work and the support. Thank you so much to you and Sheikh Hassan
You're
for,
welcome.
for being there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so
okay.
much.
Sounds good. Good to go. Thank you very much, Adnan, for being with me and sharing the amazing insights related to study abroad. And I hope that it will help our audience, the students, and the young talent who is looking for, the opportunities and they want to live and work in to the new life and new culture. Any advice, any quick tip you want to share to the students, especially?
Yeah, just one, that travel is something that will open doors to opportunities that were left unused. So this is the right time. Don't let the pandemic discourage you.
Mhm. Right.
Let these opportunities come to you. Make it a blessing out of this curse.
This is gold. This is gold. Thank you so much for having and sharing the amazing insight. And a tip to all the audience and students. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much, Amna, for lending me this opportunity of speaking to
absolutely,
your audience. You're doing a marvelous job. May Allah, bless you and you grow as your YouTube channel grows and you become, a big YouTuber. So that one day that I would say that, proudly, I'm still proud and I would be more proud to say that, I was one of the guests on Amna's YouTube shows.
absolutely. Thank you very much for your all-time support, Adnan. It's been a while. We have been connected, at this collaboration. Thank you so much once again, and thank you so much,
Always a
guys, for
pleasure.
being there. For being there. And if you have any questions related to study, live abroad, and also immigration services, which we will have another session soon, inshallah. So Adnan is here to help you. And I have linked down his LinkedIn profile. You're more than welcome to connect to him, send him a message, and he's more than welcome to connect to you. And more further details you can find on the LinkedIn profile, the company profile page, and the Facebook and other social media handles. So I will link down. Thank you very much once again. Take care of yourself. That was it.
Allah Hafiz.